Ever see a house so magical it feels like stepping into a fairy tale? Now imagine someone stealing it from the very woman who created that magic, just so their spoiled daughter could have it. But here's the thing. When you destroy someone's dream, you better be ready for what comes next. 'Cause what they walked into wasn't a fairy tale. It was a lifeless, soulless nightmare. And we made sure of it. If you've ever wanted to see karma hit so perfectly it feels scripted, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready. Because this is the story of how a kind, artistic neighbor got pushed out of her home, and how we made sure her greedy landlords would never enjoy a single ounce of her magic. There's a house in my neighborhood, and even from the outside it was special. It had this cozy little cottage facade, wood trim, flower boxes, like something you'd see in a storybook. But inside, it was breathtaking. Every wall was a hand-painted masterpiece. Disney ballroom scenes wrapping around the living room. The enchanted forest from Snow White stretching down the hallway. And the kitchen? Straight out of Cinderella, warm, colorful, alive. It was the kind of home where you walked in and instantly forgot the outside world even existed. The woman who lived there, let's call her Rebecca, had been an art teacher years ago. Later, she ran one of those paint and wine studios, before retiring to do custom murals and furniture decorating. Rebecca was talented, but more than that, she was kind. Even when I was an idiot, like the time she told me my truck was too loud, she stayed calm. We worked it out, and ended up friends. Rebecca had lived in that house since the mid-'80s. She had an agreement with the landlord. The murals were fine since they were inside. Over the years, she poured her soul into it. She'd even been promised that one day the house would be hers. But before anything could be signed, the landlord passed away. And that's when the trouble began. His kids inherited the property. One of the sons came by with his daughter, and they toured the place. Of course, they loved it. The daughter wanted the magical house for herself. And because Rebecca didn't have a formal lease, they had her cornered. They claimed the murals were damaged, that they'd need to restore the walls, and they used it as the perfect excuse to kick her out. Rebecca was crushed. This wasn't just 4 walls to her. This was 30-plus years of her life. But, the very last minute, she found a home in another state. It was perfect. Bigger art studio, more light, space to work on commissions. Still leaving hurt. She originally planned to leave the cottage front and murals behind, like a gift to the next owner. But my friend Mike had a different idea. Mike had just bought a new powered paint sprayer, and he wanted to practice. So he offered to restore the house to Rebecca's standards for free. Our version of Rebecca's standards? Let's just say it wasn't about keeping the beauty. Rebecca agreed. And that's when the fun began. We moved her furniture into storage. Mike let her stay in his guest house for free, on one condition. She had to paint him a mural in his living room. Deal. By the end of week 1, her house was empty. By week 2, we started erasing 30 years of art. We sanded every single wall, front to back, until the murals were nothing but patchy ghosts of color. Mike primed everything with his new sprayer. Smooth, even coats of white. But this wasn't just about covering the art. It was about killing the character. We used Rebecca's soulless flipper palette. Bright white semi-gloss on the walls. The most depressing shade of gray for the trim, paneling, cabinets, and switch covers. By the time we were done, the house looked dead. No warmth. No magic. No life. The last piece of the puzzle? The yard. The landscaper friend ripped out every bit of the quaint cottage front, but saved the materials for Rebecca to take. The bushes? Gone. Replaced with plain gravel. And right in the center, one lonely boulder. A sad little design feature that screamed empty. When we stepped back, I almost didn't recognize it. It looked like every cookie cutter flip on the market. Perfect. Weeks later, I was visiting an old neighbor when I saw it. The house was still empty. They told me a couple U-Hauls had shown up, but nothing had been unloaded. And that was it. No new cars. No lights at night. Just silence. I can only imagine the look on that daughter's face when she opened the door expecting a fairy tale and stepped into a cold, lifeless box. Rebecca, she got the last laugh. She's thriving in her new home. Bigger studio, more commissions, and none of the drama. The greedy landlord's daughter? She's stuck with exactly what she wanted, minus everything that made it special. Karma, served in shades of white and gray. Some people think they can take whatever they want without consequences. But sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't destroying them. It's giving them exactly what they asked for, and watching them hate it. If this story made you smile, smash that like button, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And don't forget, subscribe for more stories where karma always shows up.